So let's talk about some ones that induce the fight or flight response. Okay, so we'll put up here fight or flight reaction. Actually, we're going to say response. We're going to say response. Because the fight or flight response in every other life form on this planet is the appropriate response. They are responding to what they are able to, which is what they perceive, their threat. The body gives them the endorphins that they need in order to complete the task. They do it, they're done, okay? They're very integrated in that, okay? We're domesticated. We complicate things, okay? And so while we say, you know, I'm angry at that person, okay, and you sit there and you just like, oh my, they're to blame for this, you know, it's all their fault that they did this, I wish I could just, you know, you do that, okay, you might think you're just venting and you're being angry, you know, and that's a whole other thing. What you're telling your body through your feeling, through basically the way you're thinking, is determining how you're feeling, okay? Your worldview, your perspective at the moment is determining this feeling. And this feeling is what communicates to X, is what we were talking about earlier, okay? We talked about X being the biological force in this thing. You know, here's an example. I don't know how to beat my heart. I don't know how to breathe. I don't know how I'm talking to you, honestly, and I definitely don't know how to walk around. Now, I can give you some diagrams and talk in some doctor speak about how my ligaments pull and all this stuff and makes me do that, but I really don't know how to do that. And knowing that really doesn't help me a whole lot in knowing how I do that, okay? All I know is I make it true and valuable in my inner world, in my frame of reference, that this is what I would like to do. I would like to talk to you guys and tell you these things. And so by doing that, that generates a feeling. Obviously, I'm feeling very hyper. I'm feeling very excited because this is fun for me. I do this kind of stuff all the time. And if you've sat and talked to me about it, you know this smile, okay? And this is joy, okay? This is joy that's being expressed here. Now that joy, with that intention behind it, makes words come out and lots of, you know, hand gestures that are absolutely unnecessary. No worries. Thanks for tuning in. So, and it'll be here tomorrow, so you can come back and watch what you missed on either Facebook or Twitch. So, thank you. Appreciate it. Right. So, we make it true and valuable to do things, okay? And it just happens, okay? It's good to be alive, you know, well, as long as I see that it's worth me living, my heart's going to keep beating, my lungs are going to keep going. You know of people who, or you've heard of people who, you know, they give up the will to live. They go into a deep depression after a death in the family or the loss of a child or something traumatic, and all meaning and purpose is lost in them, and they just go downhill rapidly, okay? This is when we see this is just no longer valuable to be alive, and so that stops, okay? So the idea that X does these things, we don't consciously say that we want to induce the fight or flight response, but if we get angry at someone and we start exhibiting that anger, okay, and through feeling, you notice your forehead starts to get hot. You know, your blood starts to boil. You get real amped up, real energetic. You sit there, you're just clenching your fists, just wanting to swing. It's because you're being given endorphins, okay, and other fun little hormones that are getting your body ready to fight a tiger. But there's no tiger there. There's just the guy mean mugging you across the room, okay? And it's not appropriate to go over and beat the crap out of him. And it would be rather silly, honestly, if you just went and went running out of the thing because of dude mean mugging you across the way. So you're not able to express fight or flight, okay? Hand gestures are always necessary. Thank you. You're not going to be able to express what would naturally be expressed through fight or flight, okay? But those hormones, all that tension and everything that's been building up, doesn't just go away. it sits there, and it has to find somewhere to go, okay? And we're going to talk about that a little bit and how that starts to disintegrate the body and the mind, okay? So some fight or flight responses, we would have anger. We have fear. We have guilt. And we have insecurity. Okay? Anger, fear, guilt, insecurity. All right? Now, anger says, it's your fault. I blame you. I blame he, she, it, them, they, circumstances, whatever it may be. It is externally not my fault. It is their fault, and they are to blame. And so you begin to externalize violence. You're basically preparing to externalize violence. That's the fight. Okay, this is preparing to fight. All right. Now, fear would be, I don't know what's to blame. I don't know what's going on. Okay, I don't know who to blame. Okay, because guilt is I blame me. That shaded out the thing. So, all right, guilt is I blame me. Okay. And trust me, growing up a conservative Christian preacher's kid, this one had to deal with guilt quite a bit. Okay, that was a big thing. Now, trust me, I'm familiar with all of these, but you know what I'm talking about. The guilt is real. All right, not really, but it seems that way. Okay, so I blame he, she, it circumstances. I blame me. It's my fault. I've got to do something. And then fear is, I don't know what to blame. I don't know what he, she, it circumstances it is, and I don't even know if it's me or not, okay? You're just afraid. That's the flight or the freeze, okay? And then insecurity is I have to decide. I have to figure out who's to blame. Oh my God, what is it? Is it what I ate this morning? Is it the guy that cut me off? That's what got me riled up this morning. Whatever, you're insecure, and then you're finally just paranoid, socially anxious. So you go out and you're just like, oh my God, they might hate me. I don't know. Is it them? Should I have worn this? It's just, oh my God, I shouldn't even be here. What if they do this? What if they don't do this? That's insecurity, okay? That's, I have to find something to blame right now. There's gotta be something, I blame he, she, it circumstances. I blame me. I don't know what to blame. I gotta find something to blame, okay? All four of these initiate fight or flight, okay, in the body. Now I'm going to look over at chat real quick. Have to cut out as well. We'll definitely try to participate again. Thank you. Okay. So we would think, well, I don't need fight or flight responses because someone got my coffee wrong, at the shop, and now I'm just like, oh, that freaking idiot. You're just mad, right? You're just mad. You're just upset. This is intellectually, it's not, your life's not in danger. There's not a tiger chasing you, But your body doesn't know that. You put yourself in that state of being, okay? In any of these state of beings, and your body only translates it one way, fight or flight. And so it releases its cortisol. It releases all these other hormones and stuff into the body, adrenaline and everything, to just get you ready to take care of this tiger. Fight tiger, run from tiger. Fight tiger, run from tiger. There's no tiger. I'm just going to stand here and be mad. Or I'm going to drive down the road beating the steering wheel. Just go! That's as much as you're going to get. And guess what? That's more energy than is being expended in that little bitty outburst, okay? And we talk about wanting to rant, and that makes us feel so much better. Does it really? Because when you rant, you get yourself back into that emotion. When you tell that heartbreaking story from your childhood, or, about, your ex, or whatever it is, you begin to feel that again, don't you? You're like, oh my God, I forgot how... You find yourself in that state, and guess what that does? It releases this fight or flight response, okay? And so we have all these things. Now, if you're a normal human, you're going to have multiple of all of these, okay, just coming and going and crisscrossing in throughout your head throughout the day. You're mad at this person for that. You're worried about next month's bills. You're over here angry at your boss for something he did 2 days ago, and you're also worried about coronavirus, and you're guilty if you might be going out too much, or you're angry at the people who are. You have thousands of these things in your mind, okay? Now, Carl Jung talked about we are not a single personality, okay? We're not just, this is not just James. Okay, this is not just this single individualized thing, you know, in Jung's idea. It was basically a conglomeration of multiple sub-personalities, okay? And it was basically, there's lots of little decisions, old and new, that are in this mind, and they're all still recorded, and they all pipe up. Those are those things that keep you up at night and all that good stuff, okay? And so we have all of this just going in our mind, and each one of them, every time we do it, is just giving us a nice little drip. You know, it's like being plugged into an IV, except you got about 10 of them plugged in. And even if you find out, oh God, they're not gonna collect rent, they're excusing it for the next month or whatever, boop, you pull out that IV. That's great, but you still got 7 or 8 more. Okay, you still got all these steady drips from all of these different subpersonalities that are generating all these different emotions. And that's all dripping stress hormones into your body. Okay, I'm going to check chat. With coffee tigers, that sounds delicious. I do the screaming, waving arms thing when someone almost hits my car. Yes. So can we see that this is our normal state of being? Okay, now we have happiness in here. You know, there's a little happy right there, you know. A little excitement, you know, a little curiosity maybe. I don't know how to spell curiosity. You probably can't read it anyway, so. You know, we have these other things in here, but how many of us would say that we do a lot of fearing and angering and guilting and insecuring, okay? And I mean, I watch social media and news things and whatnot, and I see generally, no matter what side of the fences you are, because there's lots of them, and there's really no fence anyway, but, you know, no matter where you are or what camp you're in, most everybody's in these all the time for different reasons, for their own reasons, okay? But that's where they're at. All right, and they get little glimpses of things like happiness and excitement and curiosity and whatnot, but then something's immediately disturbing them, and they're right back to one of these things. Okay? And can we see that these things actually generate stress hormones? They break the body down because they're not expressed. We don't just run around clubbing people over the heads anymore, typically. Okay? There are people who do express that, and we don't condone it. Okay? And, I mean, I guess there are people who would go run screaming and stuff like that. But, you know, it's not often. So, the other thing let's touch on real quick is the idea of exercise. You think, oh, well, I'll just work it off, you know. I'll just work it off in the gym. I'll go run a couple miles, or I'll go bench press some stuff, or, you know, whatever it may be to get that. That's how I deal with that energy. Yeah, I get that. Well, no, not necessarily, okay? When you decide, I'm going to go on a run, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to enjoy it, and you start going, well, you're telling your body, we're going to run, we're going to enjoy this, we're going to do this high energy thing, and so it gives you energy to do that. You're not necessarily burning off old energy, because you know what's happened to that energy? It's not still coursing through you in fight or flight an hour later after, you know, dude mean mugged you and you got all pissed off about it for about a half hour, okay? That's gone. That's already found a way to adapt. We're going back to adaptation, okay? It's already found a way to adapt. And we're going to, if you're on Twitch, I'm about to switch the slides again. If you're not, you're just going to have to wing it, because this is a big one, and I don't know that I'm going to take the time to write it all out. You know what? We're not in a rush, so let's do this. Okay, so first, for those of you on Twitch, we're going to go over this first. Okay. So this is the many faces of the vicious cycle. We're going to talk about the vicious cycle. Let me get up here so you can actually see me on Facebook a little bit. The vicious cycle is when you have expectations. Okay, we were talking about earlier about like, oh, I have the expectation. I'm all set for my dinner, and I'm going to sit here and watch the show. Nothing's bothering me, and I got this expectation. This is going to be great. Oh, I can't. I've been looking forward to this all day. Okay. And then disappointment happens. You get that phone call that you can't ignore. You spill something on your lap. You have to go clean it up. You forgot to get a drink. Whatever it is, there's disappointment from that expectation. And so what happens when we feel disappointment? We get hurt. Okay, our feelings are hurt. We don't feel good about it. Going back to earlier, our inner state's out of whack. Okay, because our expectation was let down. All right. Now, when we're hurt, we got to find something to blame. Okay. And so, what do we blame? Either he, she, it circumstances. It's all their fault. It's not my fault. Okay? Or we blame ourselves with guilt. Oh, I'm just not good enough. You know, I'm just an idiot. I'm just a klutz. Whatever it is, you start feeling guilty. Okay? Or fear. I don't know what to blame. Okay? And then insecurity is, I've got to find something. There's got to be something. You just get all anxious and just, okay? So that's the 4 ways of finding something to blame, okay? And what that's going to do is it's going to set you into fight or flight, and it's going to generate these stress hormones into the body. And when you're not able to express them naturally as fight tiger or run from tiger, there's going to be an adaptation, okay? That stress is going to have that energy. All those things are going to have to go somewhere. They're going to have to do something because they can't be burnt up like they normally would. And doing it later at the gym is healthy, but it's not taking care of that unreleased energy, okay? Some things that can kind of work out these things, and we're going to get to why in a minute, is like massages and things like that that break up, what do we call them? Stress knots all up and down our neck and our back and everything. You know, you can get a massage and you can have those old stress things broken up and loosen up, and it can contribute to a better inner state in that regard. Let's see, I had read in the past that the idea of gamification of every facet of your life leads to not panicking about things because you look at it less severe. Gamification, is that what you mean? Is that meaning like everything's a game? Like I don't know that word, so, you know, explain yourself, sir. Anyway, so all that energy has to go somewhere, and there's 4 places that it's going to go, okay? We've got, you're either going to have chemical imbalance or neuromuscular tension, okay? And that's going to result in an adaptation of either unusual cellular activity, so we're going to have cells that either get too big or they're reproduced too much or they just die off. You know, the energy is too much. They get those hormones and they don't know what to do and they replicate. So we have things like, you know, cancer, tumors, things like this. You know, this is unreleased fight or flight chemicals pooling into these parts of the body, okay? Unusual sensations, so that's going to be like migraines. It's going to be, you know, back pain, stomach aches. You know, you're going to have indigestion because, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. Tissue cell breakdown, okay? So that's the other one. You know, things just die off because there's just too much energy. You're not able to actually do anything. Then you can also have unusual behavior, okay? Unusual behavior would mean like you go binge drinking, okay? And, you know, just have some crazy night. You know, you act weird. You just go punch a wall or something that later, you know, because you're just so pent up. That's unusual behavior. That's these hormones, these stress things being adapted to, okay? And so we have this go on within the body. Now, what's weird is when you go into a fight or flight response, your body diverts energy from other parts of your body in order to make sure that you can either run from tiger or fight tiger, okay? And it takes things from unnecessary ones for that immediate emergency. And 2 of those specifically are digestion and immune system. okay? It doesn't matter if you've got a bacterial infection and the cut on your leg if you get eaten by the tiger, okay? So it diverts energy from trying to fight that bacterial infection and says, all right, get the legs ready to run, okay? It doesn't matter if you just ate a big meal, you know, if you switch on, you know, basically it doesn't matter if you digest this meal right now or not if you get caught by tigers. So energy gets diverted from the digestive system to fight or flight. Okay, 1 second, I got chat. Off topic, but there is a clicking sound in the audio that I've heard after switching between 2 sets of headphones. It's not constant, but it happens from time to time. Not sure it's mine. Is it this? Because I'm sitting here messing around with the marker, and that could totally be it. So if it is, I'm sorry. I'll put it down unless I'm using it. How about that? Right. So if you're in fight or flight, other necessary but not immediately necessary systems are having their energy diverted. So you're not focusing on digesting. You're not focusing on fighting bacterial infections and things of that nature if you are in fight or flight. And so if you're still driving down the road for 20 minutes, road raging, and you can't exert that energy in any way, what did it say? No, it's not the marker? Okay, cool. I'm still not going to pick it up. Apologies for the clicking. I don't really know why it's clicking. Right. So you're driving down the road, you're all angry, road raging and everything, but you don't have any way to express that. Well, it's not, your body's not just angry and still digesting, okay? So that McMuffin you just had is going to sit there, you know, especially if you stay angry by the time you get to work and you're just in a foul mood and you just stay there, okay? Your body will digest it, but much slower, much less efficiently. So it sounds like a fan slowly tapping something. It could be this hand-me-down laptop that I've got over here. Its fan is kind of clunky. I was hoping that it wasn't going to be too loud to where it'd be picked up on the mic, but that might be it. Right. So you stay angry about something like that. Your body is going to digest the food, okay? But it's not going to have all the energy that it would normally need to do that efficiently. So you're probably going to have indigestion later, and then so that's that. And then if you stay in that long enough, you know, if you have days when you're just racked with fear and depression and guilt or any of these things here, and you keep that state low enough, long enough, you're going to get sick, okay? Because your immune system is down. And all those little microorganisms that you're always in contact with, and your immune system's like, pow, 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 I got it, no worries. It's not able to do that, okay? It's not able to do that anymore. And so it is going to allow some through, and you're probably going to get sick. I've witnessed this, you know, in self, but also in other people. I'll watch someone who just gets real worked up for a long time, for a couple days about some issue or whatever, and like clockwork, within 3 days, they'll start complaining about cold symptoms, or they'll have a fever, or they'll think they have the flu, or something like that. It's very strange to watch, but that's because they have lowered their immune system by staying in fight or flight when there's no way to express that. And so their body has not been performing optimally when it comes to immunodefense, okay? Same thing with digestion, okay? You need to allow your body to have the energy that it needs. You know, this goes back to the seesaws we were talking about with activity and nutrition and environment and inner state, okay? You could have great nutrition. You could have great activity. You could have a optimal environment. But if your inner state's out of whack, it throws all of it out of whack, okay? It doesn't matter, okay? Your inner state, your inner feeling is what is going to determine this, okay? How you feel about that. So it is of vast importance. While it is important to figure out your nutrition, it's important to regulate your activity. Inner state is what can really make or break this, okay? All right. So we've talked a bit about that. Now, going back to the vicious cycle, we've got, expectation, then disappointment. We have hurt, and then you look for something to blame. Anger, fear, guilt, insecurity. You get the stress hormones, okay? And they're not expressed, so you get an adaptation. So that's cellular abnormality, that's tissue breakdown, it's abnormal behavior, neuromuscular tension. That's getting stress migraines and stress knots. You know how you just get all like worked up, especially after a good bit of road rage. Your neck, your back are all tense. They're all tightened up because your muscles have been tensing up to exert, and there's nothing there. And so it just, little bitty stress knots, they just weave in, especially if you're doing this every day on the way to and from work, not to mention any other day-to-day stress that comes along. That's going to be enough to build up large stress knots and clusters of knots in your body. And that's not pleasant, okay? But that's an adaptation to what you're saying is real. That's what the state of being is, or that's what's going on, because the inner state is how you interpret everything else. It's how you interpret your nutrition. It's how you interpret your activity. It's how you interpret your environment, okay? Your inner state, that's your frame of reference. That's how you think about it. That's how you feel about it, okay? And so that's why this is of extreme importance, or value, maybe, is being aware of these states of being. What sends you to these states of being, okay? And what these states of being are like. How does it feel physiologically to feel angry? What does it feel like physiologically to be in fear, guilt, insecurity, okay? Take notes on these things. When you find yourself raging against some political figure, okay, and you find yourself just, like, take notes real quick. Just stop and be like, oh, okay, let me write that. What was that like? My forehead was really hot. My blood pressure felt, and I was straining. I was just yelling. Whatever it feels like. Okay, take notes on that. What do these feel like? Okay, because it's valuable to know this. All right, and note how often you stay in these states. Okay, how often do you find yourself in these? And then also, how many factors of that? How many things are you angry about? That can just, like, the mere mention of it, a thought just pops into your head and you're at 10, okay? Ready to just take somebody out because of something you're angry about, or some deep-seated guilt that just keeps you awake at night and just worries you to death, okay? Take note of how many triggers you have to these emotions going on. How many drip feeds do you have in the background that are just pumping you full of stress hormones all the time? And creating this, you see this mess? This is what we call internal conflict, okay? This is what we call thinking, all right? It's a bunch of these things, just the whole time. It's a radio without an off switch, just going back and forth, and you're in it because, this is me. This is how I feel. I just feel this way. So you feel it. That's you, when you feel angry. That's you when you feel fear. But you're just back and forth, back and forth. Oh, look, I'm happy for a minute. No, something pissed me off. Oh, no, I'm curious about something. Oh, man, I should have been doing that thing over there. Now I'm guilty. You're just back and forth through all of this internal conflict, okay? That's thinking, all right? Any questions on the fight or flight response, the emotions in this regard, and about the balancing of the stress adaptations? Okay, I'm going back to the chat. Kai said earlier in reference to the gamification, said everything should be looked at as a game and you do this